Hello, everybody, and welcome to our after church tea time. We will be having a nice and flowing discussion around the sermon by Danny and Christina today on divine confidence. So before we continue, I'd like to just ask everybody to please introduce themselves, and then we'll carry on from there. I am Granville Campbell, and I'm joining you from South Africa.
Hi, we're Stan and Jana, and we're joining from Belgium.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Alden, and I'm joining from Los Angeles, California.
Awesome, thank you. Welcome to everybody. And to everybody that's following our conversation, please feel free to share your thoughts, your insights, and any experiences you've had as you've gone through the sermon, or any other experiences you've had as you've grounded into the teaching and into your healing. I feel like one of the things that kind of really stood out for me was the quirky comment that Christina shared about walk into that room as if God sent you there. I was like, that is so fitting. Like, you know, when you think about the fact that you are there on instruction from God, and so you can be super confident in just being in that space, it feels like such a comfortable invitation into peace and into just embodying who you truly are. So that's kind of one thing that stood out for me, and I just kind of want to open that to everybody and see how you're feeling about specifically that statement.
I have something coming to me with that specific statement, and it's actually my grandmother used to say, like, if you're more dressed up than everyone at the party and you show up, then you're perfect. That's like how you know, like that's how you were sent there. And I mean, she wasn't someone who was like talking about God a lot and stuff, but now I kind of see like the underlying message, like based on what you just brought up from the sermon. It's that same idea of just like owning it and knowing who walks with you. But having that piece, you know, is crucial. Yeah.
Yeah, what stood out for me is like that you, when Danny said about fake confidence, that you actually like look to the outside or the outside circumstances for approval. But if you truly realize that you're one with God and that you're always walking with God everywhere, then there is no reason to be scared of like an environment or groups or a place where there are a lot of people. And that what stands out to me is that you can just be your true self, because like God approves already of you and you're one with God and fully loved by God and approved by him. So it's safe to just show your true self.
Yeah, I fully agree with that it's very reassuring, like we said right now, that God is walking with you in every room that you're going or in every situation you're entering, or whether it's newness or whatever, like God is walking with you. God knows all the answers. So being also like allowing yourself to be led by God, that God knows it. Like you just need to choose to let God flow through you, or let God do the thing, or let God write it. Yeah, it's very relieving to know, and always remembering, where we come from God. Yeah, divine. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And, you know, the thing that really stood out for me was just the sense that when Danny shared around what that past feeling of a lack of confidence actually was about. It was about this feeling of actually being disconnected from yourself. I feel like our past sermons over the last few weeks, it's just kind of been in the same trend of really just going deeper with yourself and going deeper into your relationship with yourself and your relationship with God. And I think that's kind of what the two of you have just been sharing as well. It's just, grounding into knowing who's with you. And so knowing that, it feels like a very powerful place to be. And I think that's the kind of the thing that really stood out for me, was that power is just there. It's not something that you go and search or in search of, or even need to try and find. It's actually just there. But it's like this energy of coming to the full realization that there's nothing actually missing. And so you can actually just connect with the God inside you and the power that God has given you. And I agree with you, Yana, that it feels really relieving. Like it's like I can relax. I can let myself off the hook. There's no energetic requirement to draw something in, or to look for it, or to even be hard on myself for something that I thought may or may not be there. And I feel like it's also part of the card reading that Naina shared in terms of, that Arshia shared in terms of just having compassion. Like, like that sense of allow yourself to be with yourself. Have compassion with whatever's coming up. And that was kind of the trend that also came through Danny and Christina's sermon. It's like, it's okay where you're at, but you kind of need to look. You kind of need to really connect with yourself and be honest with what you find. And it's okay if you don't like it a little bit, or you love it a lot, or, but it's kind of that feeling of take a chill pill, like relax. It's actually okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like I said, when you know that God is with you and that He fully loves you, you have nothing to be afraid of. And also, when you do your inner work, it was very good what Danny and Christina said, like that you are coachable by God, and that you let God actually guide you. And from the place that you already know that you're fully loved and already healed and whole and forgiven. And once you realize that, then you can really relax in your inner work and really relax into the place where you are and fully accept yourself there. And then your whole perspective of what you go through is actually also completely different, because you see everything through God's eyes. And
because the only one who can beat yourself up is you. God doesn't beat us up, or God has full confidence in us, or has our back. And God is just good. So the only one who can be out of alignment with our true divine nature is ourselves, by believing in non-divine things like ego things, separation things. That's so relieving when you know that you are good and you are loved. And what Christina also shared, that God already has confidence in you, because God has confidence all the time in Himself, and He knows who He is. And because we are all children of God, all part of God, of course He has confidence. And it's actually very important that we align with God here and choose to be confident, because that's honoring God, because we are the representation of God, each child of God. And and every gift that we have is divine. And also, like you said, Granville, like that, I had this a bit like that in my mind, that God has your back all the time. Like, even when you don't have your back, God already has your back. Yeah, yeah. That's wonderful to know. Yeah.
Oh, that's really beautiful. Like, just I like how you said that, you know, we're representing God as children of God. And I pulled up this quote that was tweeted from Yogananda today because I felt it was very appropriate and just like what we were talking about. It says, "Be afraid of nothing, hating none, giving love to all, feeling the love of God, seeing his presence in everyone, and having but one desire, for his constant presence in the temple of your consciousness. That is the way to live in this world."
Alden, I feel like you need to repeat that. That feels like a very powerful share, but it's a big share.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Yeah, thanks for telling me to repeat it. I think that's a nice thing. I can go a little slower. So be afraid of nothing, hating none, giving love to all, feeling the love of God, seeing his presence in everyone, and having but one desire, for his constant presence in the temple of your consciousness. That is the way to live in this world.
I love that. You know, it kind of almost feels like a bit of an instruction manual. And so in that instruction, it kind of feels like just the next layer of relaxation. It's like, actually, when you listen to it, it sounds very powerful, it sounds expansive, but it also sounds easy. And I feel like that's the thing that we've really worked towards in doing our inner healing, is working towards that ease of being. And I feel like that probably feeds the feeling of being confident, that ease of being, that ease of living, that ease of connecting with yourself and connecting with life. And yeah, it's, you know, it's just like, it's like the next step. It's just like, you're comfortable. It's actually comforting. It's comforting to know that, again, God is with me all the time, that there's nothing missing. The only thing I need to remember is to look at all those places and just bring them on. And one of the things that kind of been the thing on my journey is also just, you know, relaxing into the peace. Like you heal and you find the peace. And I've been in the space where I've almost not necessarily trusted the peace completely. And so it's been kind of that energy of grounding into the peace and relaxing into the peace and operating from that place of peace. And all of that feels to me like it's just fueled confidence even more. And I think it's what you were talking to, Jana, and saying that, you know, not identifying with the false confidence. Well, one of you two said it, not identifying with the false confidence of ego, which is something that came through in the sermon. And, you know, again, it's just that energy of not seeking validation because it's already there. You are already a child of God. That in and of itself gives you validation. And it validates your existence. And so you don't need to find validation outside of you, from the world outside of you, from the people outside of you, from the things outside of you. It just starts to make life feel so easy, like so comfortable and easy. And it's like, I feel like I could have, like if I'd learned this lesson early in my life, I would have been so much more relaxed throughout my life. And yeah, you know, and I love how everybody's sermons are just starting to really give us that tapestry of getting back to basics, getting back to truly connecting with ourselves. And I want to open that up to everybody and see, like in terms of that sense of being connected with yourself, how have the sermons over the last few weeks just kind of helped to ground that energy?
Well, what came up for me was like that you really operate from a place of peace all the time, and like that you fully ground yourself. Like Jeff said it one time, in like that you have your tree and that you need to nurture it, but that you actually need to focus on the roots, because if the storm comes then and you have strong roots, then the tree stays. So for me, that stood out. Like it's very important that you actually stay into your peace and stay centered and grounded all the time in God's truth and in love, and know that God has your back. Also, like Johanna said, and also like they said in past week sermons and in today, like that you really know that God was always there for you. That's what stood out for me. And if you experienced somewhere an illusion that God was not there, then it means actually that you made the choice out of free will to not be with God. And you can just like realize there, like, hey, I made the choice there. I can choose just now in this moment to be with God, and he's there because he was always there. And yeah, that stood really out for me, that you really root and ground yourself into God, and you can really relax into that place. Also, like you said, Bramble, like your life is much more easier if you just relax and surrender into God and know that God is doing everything, and that you can just let God be your teacher.
Yeah, and that you are enough, and also that God's love is enough, or God's confidence in you is enough. Because what I was also getting, if you feel like it's never enough, God's approval and your own approval, like you will consistently be in that loop of trying to get it outside of you, and the ego will have you keep doing this. Like if you don't fully acknowledge or recognize, no, God's confidence, God's love is enough, and me choosing to be confident in myself or my own approval and God's approval, which I already have independently of what I have on the external, where I am right now, where I come from, which clothes or whatever. Like God just loves me, and I feel like that's so important for your own ascension, that God is enough, because otherwise you are in that loop. And and finally accepting that you are enough, God's approval, beyond what other people ever told you. So God is confident in us, and because it's God moving through us. And like Alden shared with a quote, that God is in you, God is in me, God is in the neighbor or in the friend. We're always dealing with God, so to speak. And
and I heard it one time somewhere, like God, like the external is actually a mirror of God, of your relationship with God, and or like your subconscious agent or something like that. So that really stands out to me. Like if you really remember that you always stay one with God, you don't need to be afraid about the external, because like it's all about your relationship with God, and God is your source. If you have that relationship with God, then your external reality will sort itself out. So
and having God as your master, or love as your master, because that's so important. Like no matter how other people respond or react to you, because there you give then otherwise your power away, which is never good. And it's very important for us, children of God, that we keep our power and know our divinity independently from what's showing up on the outside. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I resonate with all of that, and rooting down and just the looking at what foundation is, and how it's all with God, and sometimes like it's just yeah, like very easy, and you can relax into it. It doesn't need to be complicated, and that's something I've been going deeper with, actually, with my cat, is something that just came up last night, like, and letting her I didn't realize a certain job that she had, and some of Shaleia's posts in the forum helped with that. And also, you know, like I like to pay attention to my cat and what she's up to and what she's communicating to me. And so yeah, like she really like wants to protect the space in a certain way, and I was trying to do it my way with God, but like I didn't see that like God had already sent me, like, you know, my cat, and my cat was ready to kind of like be like, hey, like this is what I've got this this energetically. And I'm not like putting that on my cat, but it just kind of happened. Like I could just feel everything sort of fall into place there. And my cat kind of confirmed that, because I was talking to her a little bit and I was like, well, maybe. And she meows back and she's like, maybe, like, for, you know, like meow it, like basically saying the word. And I was like, all right, like yeah, like I feel like I'm hearing you, you know? So that was cool.
Yeah, I like that. And one of the comments that I wanted to share as well, that Brianne shared on our comments here in the stream, something that really stood out for me was not attaching to the things you feel good at, but humbling and open, but remaining humble and open for God to take you deeper. And I think that's something that's really also stood out to me with Danny and Christina's sermon, was not attaching to the upset and not identifying with what you've just healed, because you are then possibly dampening confidence. And it was a very interesting thing for me, because that's really been some of the time that I've like processed things with life. You know, it's like looking at what that upset actually means. And sometimes I heal an upset and I don't even remember what I healed. And then there's times when I'm like, okay, this feels like it's not complete. This feels like it's not complete. This feels like it's not complete. You know, kind of digging more and digging more and digging more. And it was very profound to just kind of get the sense of, actually, yes, there was an upset, but actually that upset doesn't necessarily dampen or even influence the God-given confidence that I should have. That's naturally there. And I feel like it's a very peaceful message when you just actually allow yourself to receive. It's very peaceful to find the resonance in the message, because there's always something that resonates. And like, you know, like I find like the simplest things start to resonate very profoundly. It's not this complexity that I'm sifting through that resonates with me. It's actually the simple thing that I start to really feel the meaning and the feeling behind those words. Like when you realize how compassion actually feels, like, you know, the word, but then you actually apply that compassion to yourself very peacefully and comfortably and in this true sense, and you just start to actually understand what compassion really is. And it's literally not giving yourself a free pass to all sorts of crap. It's actually just loving yourself in that space. And I feel like that's, growing up, that's kind of the thing that's always been something that I've worked through. Like, I really need to understand things. I need to get to the core of it. Like, I'm that person. Like, I'm not just going to accept something. You kind of need to take me to the core of it. And if you don't, I'm going to go find it. And this has been something that I've worked through with Brianne, because she's my coach. And in my life purpose, my purpose is really deep understanding. My purpose is deep understanding so that I can go into those places that God is sending me into, that sometimes I don't know what I'm going to be doing there. But then God says, go there. I'm like, really? What do you want me to do there? But I always find the thread. And the thread is always, you're going to unpack it because that's what you do. You unpack things, you find meaning there, you find change there, you find transformation there. But it's kind of, you actually have to be open to hearing God saying to you, go there. And one of the things that I've had to heal through is like, actually, sometimes, God, I don't like what you're saying about going there. But going there has actually been the place where I needed to be. And it's just, it's just profound that it's really embedded in my life purpose. It's really embedded in my purpose to unpack things. And I always thought I was a difficult child. And now I just know, like, I have a need to have understanding. And that need to understand helps me to do the things that God's asking me to do.
And it's really good what you say, Granville, about like truly understanding. I can resonate with that also a lot. That I really want to understand things about the why and the how it happened and all of these things. But now I actually realized recently through inner work that if you consistently like want to dig deeper and deeper and deeper and consistently like ask God, like, yeah, what I'm supposed to be doing here, or why, or how, and how is this going to work out? Well, that's a big energy leak, because then actually like you do not trust God. And I realized there that I just need to just surrender in God and just like release the resistance to God, because God knows perfectly where I need to go to learn certain things, or to like share God's good, or like just serve God and let God, like through me, actually like serve the God in others. And that was really something that I learned recently ago, and also what was said today in the sermon, that you let God be your coach, or like your guide, and let God actually like guide you to the perfect place, and be confident in that, and not consistently ask like, why am I here, or what am I doing here? Just like trusting God, because he always has the perfect thing for you in that place or area.
Didn't you said recently about a game that you played? Also, you said it to me today. Yeah, you played a game where you fought.
Yeah, it was like a Nintendo game or so, and I said to God, like, why do you let me play this game? I played this already like 10,000 times or so, and I really didn't want to play it. And he said to me, like, yeah, trust me, and I did it then. And like during the game, I actually like got an insight. It was a basketball game, by the way. Had an insight that I was pushing too hard, and that I'm actually like needing to trust God and surrender to God and let God flow me and let him do the things, instead of me wanting to do everything myself and maneuver everything out of the way and slap that block away and that block away. So yeah, that was really a deep lesson. But I really got to know there how God works always in perfect and mysterious ways. And yeah, that's really like hit hard on me to really like trust God in that place. And yeah,
That God has the master plan, knows
Yeah.
more and better than we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, being confident in that, or when you're sent to a place like where you don't know, that you're actually choose to be confident, like God is walking with you there. And also like at the end of the game, God gave you the revelation, right? Why you played that game, like
Yeah.
after it.
Yeah.
You sometimes it is like that, or where one door closes in your life, and after you know why that door needed to close for you, so that actually God wanted to learn you or actually guide you in your true direction, what is for you.
Yeah. So yeah, what really stood out there is what like that you do not need to be like in every place at the same time or want to force it through, and that you just like allow God to like put you on the path and take it step by step, and let him actually drive the car and let you sit on the back and join this, like enjoy the scenery route. So it's just that's how it's supposed to be, that God is the driver.
Yeah, because God is not only working through you, but also through others, and has it already figured out the moment you make a choice. And
Yeah, for me, what you're saying, as you're saying it, what came up was something I was thinking about yesterday, was helping people, and this idea of needing to help people or even help myself versus loving myself and loving other people and having compassion. And that helping and saying help isn't necessarily like a bad thing, you know, like it makes sense in context a lot of the time, but there's like this energy that I was moving through of related to having confidence in God, and that, you know, attack isn't real. So like, I don't really need to like go save someone or go help someone in that kind of a way, but like I can extend love to someone and from that place actually help them. And yeah, I guess it just comes back to the having confidence of, you know, of God moving through me, basically.
Yeah, I like that, because, you know, and it's something that I've also just been working on over this last week. It's just truly understanding that, you know, everybody has God equally. And so sometimes being helpful is actually turning yourself into somebody else's source. And so I've had to kind of just actually take the step back and go, do I really feel in my heart that I'm helping from a place of love, or I'm helping from a place of they need it? Because there is a difference. And if they need it, they need to go to their source, which is not me. I can guide them, I can teach them, I can love them, but at the end of the day, their dependence needs to be on God, not on me. And so it's been a journey of learning to sometimes say no, even in some very unusual circumstances, which is something that I've, like, you know, across my life, I've not been very comfortable to say no to people very easily. Like in my corporate life, it was very easy. Like, you know, this was the rule, this is how it worked. It was okay. In my personal life, the lines were a lot more blurred. But I feel like in learning and healing, it's kind of taught me to just ground into that relationship with God, into trusting God and inviting other people to trust God in those places. And sometimes the invitation for them to trust God is for me to say no.
Yeah, I like what you're sharing. Also, I remember when I grew up, my biological father, he always had trust in me or helped me believe in myself. And that's also like for you then to learn to trust yourself or believe in yourself. And that's what I got when you said like trusting or believing also in that they have God too, or God is with them and that they are capable, so that you are not source, you're actually them taking away source from them when you step in, or you take their power away or their confidence, what they actually would need to learn to believe in themselves or to be confident in themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that you actually always are dealing with God. I also learned this recently, that if you see a person truly suffering, and like I used to then actually not truly listening to myself and just help the person instead of like listening to God. And now I changed it up and I made another choice. I just like said to myself, like, I'm now listening to God and listen and ask him, like, what shall I be doing here? And I recently had a person who was really suffering, and God didn't call me to help that person. And on the inside, I was really like, well, maybe like it looks really bad, maybe, and I can help them. Like maybe. And God said, no, we're staying here. And that person, do you choose to see that person through my eyes? And then I made that choice. And all of a sudden I saw the whole world and like everybody as their true divine self. And then I got really why God said to me, like, no, because like if that person is on the inside actually choosing fear over love and sees the external people actually as the source or the savior, well, how is that person going to truly wake up and like get closer to God? And especially in this time where it's everything is speeding up and like the energies are more and more, like everybody is awakening at a rapid rate. Well, it's very important to let God guide here and like let God be the teacher, just like Danny and Christina said.
Yeah, it's very important to not give what you think is good for the person, but actually what God wants, says to you, what you shall do, what's best for the person. It might look different than how we were programmed to do, or from parents to just help. If you see someone give even your last thing away, it's no. Listening to God, what's really best for the person.
And that you also remember that actually like you're still loving the person. You're not a bad person for saying no or for not helping, even though it seems like very weird on the outside. You're still loving the person because you bring them closer to the source within themselves. So that's actually even more than they could wish for.
Yeah, you're helping, even if it looks different.
Yeah, I like that. And, you know, I agree with you. It's definitely been a learning curve for me as well, you know. And so I also get that, sometimes also get that feeling like, oh my goodness, what is happening here? And, you know, the peace returns when I actually just have the conversation with God and find out what is God's purpose in this situation. And sometimes the purpose is just to ensure that I do not get in the middle, because God has a lesson to teach them. And if I'm getting in the middle, is God having the opportunity to teach them the lesson that God needs to teach them? And we've all learned in some very tough circumstances, but we've also learned in good circumstances. But we've been open to the lesson. and we become more and more open to the lesson as we heal. And I feel like that's one of the things that's probably the greater gift in sometimes saying no, is that you direct them to where they need to go, as opposed to directing them to you, which is not sustainable. It's a very heavy energy to carry. And in carrying that energy, it's probably quite a significant energy leak, because I'm not their source. And it's okay for me to actually understand that this is where I'm at, and that's where they're at. And I can lead them to God if they choose to, but I also need to leave them alone if they choose not to. And that's been something that I've had to learn, is that sometimes you have to leave people alone. And it's that thing about respecting their choices, honoring their choice, but not joining them there if it doesn't feel appropriate for me. So yeah, just how's everybody feeling? Any last thoughts to share before we start to wrap up?
Well, I wanted to add to that, Granville, that I also realized that you actually are sent here by God just to be a lighthouse, like a pillar of light, just to be an example, actually, for what other people also can be. And that is very empowering, that you actually are just loving people and the whole world by just loving yourself. And God will guide you next to that, actually, to the places and people where God through you wants to love. And sometimes it's through discipline, and sometimes it's through loving the person or helping the person, but it's always coming out of love. And that is really something big, that you can really like stand into your truth and be your true light self, and let God like do that guidance, like there, let God share, and there actually like retreat a little bit, or like have a boundary. And that's very important to actually like know that it's such an easy thing if you do it with God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll share one last thing on that, is that sometimes I've had the experience too where I'm like maybe feeling pretty passionate that, you know, about helping someone in a specific way, or just that like something would be good for someone. But yeah, like I back off and I'm like, what's going on with their choice? But in learning not to judge, sometimes, you know, people, again, we all have our own relationship with God, and like it's really miraculous to me, both myself and my own choices. Sometimes I'm like, really, is this what I'm being guided to do? Or for someone else, but then sure enough, they pop back up with a healed, something that's been healed, you know, by doing something that maybe like I didn't know was going to be best for them, but like trusting their relationship with God too, and honoring their choice. But sometimes I don't necessarily see everything about why they're choosing something. So like just being humble basically about that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so just in terms of the after church tea time, it feels quite complete to me. I'm just checking in with everybody, how you're feeling about the completion today. Good. Awesome. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you to the team for our discussion today. We'd like to invite all our followers on the Unionism Spiritual Discussion Group on Facebook. If you haven't yet liked and subscribed to our Church of Union YouTube channel, please feel free to do so. You will find all our previous after church tea times, as well as any other sermons and any other live conversations that have happened in the Unionism Spiritual Discussion Group on Facebook. And we look forward to seeing you again soon for another after church tea time. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hi, thanks.